great to be with you on this edition of the India Development Debate. I'm Supriya Shrinate, and straight on to the topic that is under discussion. Because this clearly seems to be old tactics for the so-called Naya Pakistan. Despite countless promises and all of that was made, the country's Prime Minister Imran Khan has followed into the footsteps of his predecessors, turning a blind eye to homegrown terror. He said Pakistan will cooperate in the Pulwama probe only if provided with actionable intelligence. Many people will turn around and ask, what happened to the 2611 proof that was given to you, Mr. Khan? He also reiterated that the need for talks to solve animosity between the two nations rises, and threatened that Pakistan will retaliate and not think twice if India were to strike. The Modi government has hit back very sharply. The Pak PM, according to the government, and has reminded him of no action taken in the 2611 case and the Pathankot attack despite concrete evidence that was provided. Is Khan's statement in line with the deep state? How will Pulwama play out as the Saudi Crown Prince is now in India? And more importantly, the issue that we are putting the spotlight on is bigotry and hatred that is being peddled in the name of nationalism. How can a sitting governor of Meghalaya talk about boycotting everything that's Kashmiri and not to go to Kashmir? And why is there no clamp down on this? Why are politicians not speaking in one voice to clamp down on this sort of hatred that is being peddled not just on social media but in the social narrative as well? Let's take this across to an expert panel that's joining us right here. We've got politicians as well on the show. Vineet Goenka, member and ex-national co-convener, the IT cell of the BJP. Mohammad Khan, spokesperson of the Congress. Sagrika Ghosh, consulting editor of the Times of India. Ansari, former CIC and interlocutor in J&K. And Sushobha Barve, executive director, Center for Dialogue and Reconciliation. So thank you very much, all of you, for joining us. My only request is, this is obviously an emotive topic. This does make tempers fly high, emotions run high. Let's keep this civil. Let us allow each other to complete their answers and then button. That's my only request. There is a reason why we do debates the way we do. Our intention is to try and put some solutions on the table and let this not be just a mudslinging match. Keep your answers brief because there's a lot of ground to cover there. So thank you very much, each one of you, for once again joining us. Let me begin with you, Sagarika. And I'm not going to mince words here. I really was in the hopeful camp. There is no sympathy, no feeling sorry for the lives lost, the victims or their families, blatant lies. It took Mr. Khan 5 days because he was busy with quote-unquote the visit of Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. He did not want to be distracted by the investment conference. And this is the statement that comes from him. There is shameless apathy on one hand, but does Mr. Khan actually and realistically expect us to believe when he says with a straight face that Pak has nothing to do with Pulwama terror attack? Is this a mockery of a statement that ideally shouldn't have been made in the first place?
Supriya, I think it's a little bit rich for Mr. Imran Khan to turn around and say we need actionable intelligence on a possible Pakistan involvement in Pulwama. The fact is that Jaish-e-Mohammed, which is supposed to have masterminded this attack, is sheltered by Pakistan. Masood Azhar is known to be in Bahawalpur in Pakistan. The fact is that the China-Pakistan axis, we know that Beijing is providing military and political support to Islamabad, and we know that it is Beijing which has been consistently blocking India's efforts in the UN to get a sanction on Masood Azhar, to get to get strictures passed on the Jaish chief Masood Azhar. It has been Beijing which has been blocking, has been vetoing India's efforts to get a UN sanction against Masood Azhar. For the Pulwama attack to happen in the way that it did, the kind of logistics, the kind of planning, the kind of material that the Fidain had, it is possible to conclude, Supriya, that the hand of Rawalpindi is not very far away from that attack. Now, the fact is, we know that Pakistan has been harboring these kind of elements. We know that, as Hillary Clinton said when she was Secretary of State, they've been harboring snakes in their backyard. And I think it is a little bit rich of Mr. Imran Khan to, as you rightly say, not even express even a slightest word of sympathy, but in fact say, give us actionable intelligence that it's us. Having said that, Supriya, India, Imran Khan has virtually dared India to a war. He says if India wages war, Pakistan will retaliate. Make no mistake. So he's dared India. So we've seen the kind of saber rattling that's been going on in India. We've seen the sort of strident hyper-nationalism in India. Now we have to understand that this is a high-risk gamble, because do we have the political will and the armed capacity? Because Pakistan will retaliate.
Sagarika, I'll have to butt in there. Sagarika, I'll have to butt in there. You make a very important point. To his dare, there is a hyper-nationalism of sorts that we are seeing. And I think we've got to put sane minds into this to have conversations and to make interpretations. But I think there's an important point that you raised, that Imran Khan is almost daring India. But let me go across to Mr. Ansari. And Mr. Ansari, wasn't Imran Khan's first statement after the Pulwama terror attack a complete echo of Pakistan Army's line on terrorism against India? And it does prove beyond doubt that he is not his own man. He is not what a democratically elected Prime Minister is. I mean, even the unedited video that's now out, which has snippets of, fast forwards, there were jump cuts in that video. He seems to be a man there who's a mere army puppet, echoing his army's line. Mr. Ansari.
Well, at this point in time, whatever Pakistan may say, that will not be taken in that spirit in which they are saying, because Pakistan has on and off has accepted that they have sympathies for the Kashmir. They have also said that the Kashmir is a disputed territory and it has to be resolved. You may recall that even in Shimla agreement, it was agreed that the India and Pakistan will settle the Kashmir issue through the dialogue process. So the question is that the Pakistan realizes and has accepted on and off that it occupies a part of the Kashmir, and it also says that the partition of India is an unfinished agenda, and therefore there is a Kashmir uprising for which they have been providing all kinds of support, encouragements, and the footprint of Pakistan in Kashmir is always there. This is something which is not hidden, and I think even at many international fora, Pakistan has accepted that it has sympathy. It realizes that yes, Kashmir is a disputed area, it has to be resolved, and therefore at this point in time, if Pakistan says that they have nothing to do with the Pulwama incident, I think that is something which is not to be accepted, which is no one is going to accept, because the world community recognizes that there is support from outside. And in fact, I may also mention that wherever there is a terrorism, there is some support from some outside, from some external forces. In our case, it may be and it is from the Pakistan. So that is something which is an accepted fact, and whatever at this point in time Pakistan may say, that should not attract and that should not really matter much. But the whole problem is about the Kashmir, and why should we lose sight of the Kashmir issue? Why should we not focus on Kashmir? Because if we focus on Kashmir and if we try to win the hearts and minds of the Kashmiris, probably any instigation from any corner, probably that could be very easily nullified, because it has been seen the world over that it is not the muscular approach, it is not the military approach that can help resolve the Kashmir issue. If we also recognize that yes, there is a Kashmir issue and there is some discontentment among the people, they do seek support from the outside forces, and the Pakistan involvement is very well known. That is not an issue that we need to discuss at such in this kind of forum. So I think that is a well accepted fact that the Pakistan has its own footprint, and there is a problem of Kashmir, which also we recognize, and our army generals have also said that it is a political problem. It has to be resolved politically, rather than we are talking about all the kind of terrorism or the military support to Kashmir.
Mr. Ansari, I'll just have to come in there, and I'll take this across to Mr. Sushobha Barve and then perhaps come back to you and take it across to the politicians. The question that I had in mind, and I'm going to just tweak this a little, Ms. Barve, for you, is that, there were many in India and otherwise who thought there is a Naya Pakistan. एक नया दौर है, एक नए प्रधानमंत्री आए और बहुत कुछ उससे बदलेगा. doesn't seem to have happened, and hopes today are belied. There were people who want peace between India and Pakistan, and they were willing to put a lot of optimism on Imran Khan. Today, he's not just let that lobby down, he's basically told the world that he's nothing but a face for his very, very dominating army. That's one part. And the second part is, what do you make of his statement? Are we heading to a non-political solution to this problem right now? Ms. Barve.
Well, we are. I personally would not like to hype Mr. Imran Khan's statement too much. He said, finally he had to speak, so he has spoken. Did he say anything different than what we expected of him? I don't think so. I didn't expect anything different for him to say than what he has done. Now, I would really like Pakistanis, instead of constantly lecturing us to take care of human rights issues in Kashmir, which some of us are. We take them very seriously. We are critical of, when violations have happened. We have spoken up about it. So I think Pakistanis should leave it to us Indians to deal with what is wrong on our side. I find it very ironic that I read a report recently that JKLF activists in POK had actually, been slapped with sedition charges because they were demanding azadi. So they have one standard for us, they have another standard for their own people. So it is better, I think, we both sides, stop this blaming each other for, and saying you live up to the high standards and not look at our own, shortcomings. So I really didn't expect Pakistan at this stage to be owning up for what has happened in Pulwama. So there it is. And as far as our side saying we will give them a befitting reply, I just am also a little concerned and worried about that. I feel we are not prepared. And is it just?
I think each one of us needs to be worried and concerned about that. But let me take this across to the politicians. And to the politicians, I think, the rhetoric about a befitting reply and the rhetoric about Pakistan is lying, I think needs to be over. Mr. Imran Khan on record today says that he's offered help with the investigation, quote unquote, provided India is able to hand over actionable intelligence. Muhammad Khan, your party, when you were in government, gave him actionable intelligence in 2611. Actionable intelligence and proof was also given to him on Pathankot, and nothing has happened. Masood Azhar continues to live in Bhavalpur, masterminding the attacks with ISI, and the Prime Minister of Pakistan comes on record and says, give me actionable intelligence and then I will act, without, a shred of sympathy or feeling sorry for what has happened to 40 brave soldiers.
Okay, so on Imran Khan's speech, I must say I have never heard a more outlandish and appalling statement, especially in the wake of such a grave terror attack. It is appalling, and I'll tell you why. Imran Khan बैठ के वहाँ पे मासूम बन रहे हैं, मुझे सबूत दीजिए, give me evidence. And as you pointed out, Supriya, we have provided him and his government with evidence in the past because we are a rule of law country. Now, I wanted to ask him when he was saying that, कि एक बात बताइए Imran Khan, where was Osama bin Laden found? He was found in Abbottabad, Pakistan after several years of searching. उस टाइम तो आप लोग एविडेंस की बात नहीं करते थे. At that point of time, you were pressurized by the international community to give him up. Only then you cooperated, and in the loosest sense of the word, with the American forces. Number two, listening to Imran Khan, I was reminded of the fact that, you remember, Supriya, if you see his political journey, he started as a left liberal candidate, and finally when he became Prime Minister, he was a hard right इस्लामिक फंडामेंटलिस्ट जिसे सपोर्ट कर रहे थे उस टाइप का कैंडिडेट था. इनफैक्ट मेनी ऑफ दीज इस्लामिक फंडामेंटलिस्ट दैट वी स्पीक ऑफ आर रूमर्ड टू बी बिहाइंड इमरान खान्स विक्ट्री इन एडिशन टू द आर्मी. सो ऑब्वियसली वो मोहताज हैं इन लोगों के, ही इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन देम फॉर हिज गुडविल, तो वो तो देगा ही ऐसा बयान. वी कांट टेक इट एट फेस वैल्यू. बट व्हाट डिसअपॉइंट्स मी मोस्ट is that today, instead of behaving like a statesman, he is lecturing us that give me proof. I'm shocked. We are the country that has gone to the ICJ, followed the rule of law, the letter of the law, and adopted whatever procedures are available to us. I wanted to ask him, Asiya Bibi के केस में जिस पे आप blasphemy law लगा रहे हैं, जिसे एक कोर्ट ने overturn किया, आप जाके आखिर में, after pressure from countries like Italy and Canada, you are telling us that we should provide you with proof. I wanted to remind Imran Khan at that point of time that we are a country that has never been an aggressor vis-a-vis Pakistan. But whenever these people have sought aggression with us against us in 1947, in 65 or 71, we have given his country a befitting reply. In fact, the reason his country is in two pieces today and doesn't exist as it used to is because of the strong governments in the past. And I think this is one occasion where there can be no politics. I think we are all speaking as citizens of India.
Muhammad?
I am very disappointed by his response, and the MEA has given a response also, which I believe you have.
I'm coming to that, and it's a strong rebuttal that has come in from the MEA. Vineet Goenka, there is a reason why I'm coming to you last, because you represent the treasury benches here. The MEA statement says that the Prime Minister of Pakistan has neither chosen to condemn this heinous act nor condoled with the bereaved families. It is true, MEA has also cited that the Pak Prime Minister ignored claims by the JEM, 2611 evidence had no outcome. The Pak PM statement seems like the same old trope. My question is, why even react to a man like the Pak PM right now? What is the use of the dialogue that we've had with a rogue state, one may ask? And which is, I'm really talking in the light of the MEA statement. You know, is the time for statements, is the time for talks, dialogues all over? And I'm not someone who believes in armed conflict, just to clarify on the show here.
Yeah, probably, in the international arena, you keep your voice along with everybody else. You also keep your voice when your adversaries speak. When they speak, they lie. So I think, what MEA did, it was appropriate. They pointed out that it was a pre-printed message which was been printed long years back, and they've been repeating the same thing. And he was so inhuman that he did not even condone. Remember, there were students who were killed in Pakistan, and India observed 1 minute silence in Parliament. Also, Indians truly were behind them. So I think probably on a humanitarian grounds he would have done that. I thought he was a cricketer and he could have done that. So one these things, but you don't expect anything from them when they actually are the sponsors, and he's been dictated terms by the terrorist elements who are sitting there. I would like to say only one thing which you have not asked, but I think I should speak from myself, is there will be a disappropriate, devastation which will be delivered to the devil's den. And I think that only will deter them from doing any kind of actions in future.
Okay, I'm not going to fan those sentiments, but I think there is something that's a departure from before. And before I go back to Sagarika and Ms. Barve, I will take a quick question to you, Mr. Ansari. What do you make of, and this is a departure from before, and Sagarika pointed this out, that he's almost daring India to act, because he says, do not take it, we will not take this lying down. He's threatening to retaliate if India attacks Pakistan. This isn't language that prime ministers have, used before, and that is a departure. Is that a valid observation that is being made, Mr. Ansari?
Well, I think that is a very unfortunate statement that had been made, because it is well known that India's military capacity is far, far better and superior than what Pakistan may have, even though both the countries are nuclear nations, and they also know that India has the policy of not making use of nuclear in the first instance. Of course, it may respond at a later stage, but here the question is, they also know that even though we have had 4 wars, and all the wars that we had were very decisive and in favor of in India, and also the areas which were captured in 65 and 71 were also returned to them. So the question is that even if India acts hard on Pakistan, they know that probably the outcome would be much less than what one would be expecting, because in the last wars, even though India was very successful and it had a decisive edge over Pakistan, but the outcome was almost nil, in the sense that the Kashmir issue remains alive even today. So it is probably in that context they may have said that even if at this point in time India reacts, probably they also know that in 2-3 months time India is going for election. So they are making sure that probably India may react, but at this point in time that India may not resort to a full-fledged war. Earlier we have attempted surgical strikes, which was also here politicized, and various political parties took it differently, and the outcome of the surgical strike was also not what we expected, and we have now seen the Pulwama. So what I'm trying to say is that the statement made by the Pakistan Prime Minister may be unfortunate, but at the same time probably they are assessing the situation that even if there is a war, the outcome would not be that much in favor of India, and at the same time we have been in fact fighting the proxy war, the Cold War for so many years, and probably that is going to continue, and this is what Pakistan is trying to see.
I will have to come in there.
Whatever has happened in Pulwama, the outcome and the
there is posturing. No, Mr. Ansari, give me a minute. I want to move on to another very important topic. Mr. Ansari, give me a minute. Sagarika, I'll come to you. And if you look at what's happening in France, and France is likely to move a proposal to ban Masood Azhar at the United Nations, UK, US seem to be backing us up on that. Is Pak staring at global isolation? And can India do anything more to mount global pressure right now?
Supriya, I don't think, coercive diplomacy is going to be as successful now as it was in the past, precisely because the United States is really not invested in South Asia or the world order as it was in the past. Donald Trump has turned decidedly inward. He's unlikely to be invested in Indo-Pak peace as Bill Clinton was in 1999 during the Kargil War. The Trump administration in the US is completely different. Yes, many world governments have expressed their sympathy for India and have given their support to India and have, have paid lip service to the victims. But what are they going to do to actually isolate Pakistan? Not much. As I mentioned earlier, the Beijing-Islamabad axis is very strong. China has repeatedly blocked attempts by India to have sanctions on Masood Azhar. It's not likely that China is going to back down. It's not likely that that axis, the Wuhan spirit between Beijing and Islamabad, is going to come to an end. So, India has withdrawn MFN status from Pakistan. But aside from that, it doesn't seem as if world opinion is that much decidedly in favor of India at the moment, particularly because the United States has turned so decidedly inwards, and Donald Trump is a completely isolationist president. He's a distracted figure who really doesn't care at all about South Asia and what happens in the rest of the world. But I do want to make a point, Supriya, is that while we blame Pakistan and while the hand of the Jaish is of course clear and while the hand of Pakistan is clear, we also have to look at the fact that the suicide bomber Adil Ahmed Dar was a local youth from South Kashmir, and here we are seeing the mutation of terrorism in Kashmir. Actually,
Sagarika, bear with me. Sagarika, bear with me. Sagarika, bear with me. That's an entire segment that I want to touch upon that. Sagarika, please bear with me. That's an entire segment that I want to touch upon. How Kashmiri youth is being alienated and what is happening in the name of hyper-nationalism in this country is going to alienate them further. There is no reason why the Meghalaya governor is still in office today. There is no reason the kind of hate that we are seeing on social media. I have it in mind and I will come to that. But before I move any further, Vineet Goenka, I have two questions to ask of you. The point that Sagarika made on China, because it's not just Pakistan that's doing this. I mean, China China has sunk in $65 billion in Pakistan for a reason. It's a bankrupt country. China has blocked our attempts to declare Masood Azhar a global terrorist. So, A, how are you going to deal with China? Because our policy with China has been, you know, on and off, blow hot, blow cold kind of a thing. And the second important issue that some people are now pointing out is that Pakistan has taken the matter to UN, where there is a foreign minister who said he's asked for UN to draw attention to security situation in the region. I mean, are they being more agile in terms of diplomacy than we are? Vineet Goenka.
So we'll have to understand the geopolitics along with the geoeconomics which goes around that. Somebody has said you can't choose your neighbors. Okay, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your neighbors. So China is also our neighbor, Pakistan is also our neighbor. China wants a warm water access, and it has taken warm water access to the K2 route, which is the Karakoram route. Now, this was not done years or 1 year or 2 years back. It has been done long term. And had we chosen to give them an access to warm waters, probably they would have yet chosen Pakistan, because it's a soft state. They can dictate their terms for the returns of their investment. And I think probably any government then or today could not have given them access the way they want in the return ROI which they want. So probably China has its own compulsion. But the days where China could dictate geopolitics is gone, and probably, let me remind you through your channel, and you will also agree, the consumption of Chinese good in India is substantial, and they know how much impact do we make on their GDP. So I think that they will not overlook. Yes, they have a strategic interest in Pakistan, in the K2 region, and probably because of that they may not side to us. B, whatever happens, I think there are 3 assaults which is being made right now by India, and which is very correct assaults. One, diplomatic, second is economical, and third one will be strategic. Kinetic, non-kinetic, both warfare will be fought. And as I said, the operational theatre, the theatre of operation will now shift from the east side of the LOC to the west side of the LOC. Now, you don't spell every strategy, which is whether it is tactical or it is a strategic, on the TV channels. So probably you have to wait. But one thing I know for sure is, there is a devastation of disappropriate level going to happen there on the west side of my LOC. That's been assured.
Okay, give me a minute. I wanted to jump to the comments of Lieutenant General K.S. Dhillon, but before I do that, a very quick word from Mohammad Khan, and then I will go to Ms. Barve. The Saudi prince is on the India visit. There are many who believe that Imran Khan's grandstanding has been emboldened by what happened between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan there. Yes, he had to make a detour. He had to go back to Saudi Arabia and then come to India because the Indian government objected him coming directly here. What must India convey to the Saudi Crown Prince right now? I mean, we are welcoming of him, we are welcoming of, we are being tolerant with this visit, but what needs to be conveyed? Because in no uncertain terms did he even think about denouncing what had happened while he was on Pakistan's soil.
Yes. Well, let's go back to the point you were making earlier, and I thought that was the correct point. Pakistan has run to the United Nations and has put forth this defense that, look, the situation is escalating, and they're trying to put that blame on our doorstep. We must be very careful here, because what Pakistan is trying to do is they're trying to control the international narrative. Now, if Imran Khan was in the slightest bit serious about taking action against these people, he would have set up a commission of inquiry. That is what we do when international events are involved. We scour through the treaties, we examine our obligations to the residents of those countries, and we arrive at a legal solution. Imran Khan didn't do that. He comes out with a speech that is extreme, that is full of platitudes and empty words, and he says that, you know, give me proof. Now let's come to the fact that China is seeing an opportunity in this, which also you correctly pointed out. The One Belt, One Road project is a testament to that. We've debated it several times. We've seen China's growing influence in Sri Lanka, where it is building several large-scale projects. We've seen its influence in the Maldives, which for the first time sees fit to spurn us. We've seen its influence in Nepal. Again, you're right, this is not a time or a debate for us to go head-to-head with this government on foreign policy. But I will say this, your actions in the next few weeks, both on the international level as well as the domestic level, will define your legacy for history to remember. We stand with you for our countrymen. We stand with you for the sake of our unity. Please take action that is mature, that is responsible, and that is befitting of India. That's all I will say.
Okay, Mohammad Khan and Vineet Goenka, before I move any forward, I must congratulate the two of you for keeping it bipartisan and for maintaining civility on this debate. This is what we expect of our politicians. I hope both your parties can take a leaf out of this. And some of the channels that are fanning public sentiment against, Kashmiris and against Muslims, they need to learn a lesson right here. But before I move any further, Ms. Barve, I'll come to you and I will refer to a statement that was made by Lieutenant General K.S. Dhillon, who today said that anyone who has picked up a gun will now be eliminated in Jammu and Kashmir if they do not surrender. The question is, are we looking at a KPS Gill-like plan in Punjab to end the insurgency, and will that bear fruits?
Well, for last 2 years almost, they have been eliminating young men or the militants who have picked up a gun. So how different is General Dhillon's statement? That was a policy that the center wanted them to execute, the security forces, and they have been doing it. Now, well, the security forces no doubt will do what they are meant to do, but our criticism has been, and many others, the former commanders who have served in Jammu Kashmir, they have been saying that along with this, there needs to be a political process. And that has not happened. It's not just people like me. I'm a peace builder. I don't like violence committed by either side. I want end to violence from all sides. But unfortunately, we have not seen whatever the security forces are doing being backed up by the political initiative for which the interlocutor was sent to Kashmir, but he is not heard anymore, and nor has he been given a proper brief. So I don't really understand. I mean, what do we really want? I don't think General Dhillon said anything different to what has been happening during the past 2 years. How is it anything different? My problem is, even now, we are not understanding that if we want the security forces to deal with the militants, then there has to be a political initiative. And look at what is happening in the country. I mean, there is no corrective word being said today from the center to what the governor of Meghalaya has said. I think this is really shocking for even someone like me.
Absolutely. Ms. Barve, Ms. Barve, please bear with me for a minute, because that is exactly what my next segment is going to be about. But give me a minute. I want to go across to Mr. Ansari on exactly the point that you made, that Lieutenant General J.S. Dhillon, the Corps commander of the Chinar Corps, when he said in a joint press conference with the other armed forces, the local police and all of that, that the focus is clear on counter-terrorism operations. We are very clear that anyone who enters the Kashmir Valley is not going to go back alive. You know, the question is, this is pretty much what is happening, and perhaps happening without political initiative. The question that I want to raise to you as somebody who's been an interlocutor there is this the sternest approach to tackle people? Is this going to work with what we are resorting to? And or do we actually risk further alienation by talking down, by talking tough at this point in time, especially the youth who have taken to arms, without any sympathy to anybody who resorts to killing? Mr. Ansari.
Well, let me say that we are a democratic society, and each and every problem that society faces has to be resolved through the political means. And we have seen the world over that the muscular approach or the brutal use of force has never been successful anywhere, and therefore the initiative of the political process is very, very important. We have heard many of our own retired generals, they have said that whatever they could do, they have been doing for the last 70 years. But it is for the political leadership to take the call and resolve the contentious issues relating to the Kashmir and also relating to that of Pakistan. So my sense is that in the last say 3 decades or so, the alienation is so much so, and it has spread the widespread, and therefore you see that in the last few years there has been so many losses of lives of the civilians, the security forces, and the human rights violation. I mean, this is all something which is very well aware, and the media had been reporting, the experts have been talking about it. And if you see that the unemployment rate in Jammu and Kashmir is one of the highest, the people who suffer from the health problems and the depressions is one of the highest, and what we have seen now as a backlash in the whole country and the kind of statement which the governor had made, that also shows that the Kashmiris neither have a place in their own state, nor when they try to go out of their own state in the rest of the country, you know how they have been treated. Most of them are facing the sedition charges. So the point is that the alienation is not very new. It has been taking place for the last several decades, and the political process is very much fraught with, and therefore people have been asking for the free and fair elections, which on and off has been happening properly, but most of the time it is not. I can take the example of the recent developments. The PDP and the BJP alliance was probably expected to function very well, but unfortunately it did not work very well. At the same time, in the last NDA, the NC had come out with
Mr. Ansari, I'm sorry, I'll have to cut you short there. I'll have to go to Sagarika. Mr. Ansari, please keep your answers brief, is all that I will request my panel, because we've got a lot of ground to cover, and I want to dedicate an entire segment to this anti-Kashmiri narrative, this anti-Kashmiri tribe that is being built. So just please bear with me and please keep your answers brief. I'm going to request my panel all over again. But Sagarika, very quickly before I slip into that break, while saying that nobody who enters the valley is going to go back alive, and either you surrender or you'll be eliminated, Lieutenant General Dhillon also urged the Kashmiri mother to play a role. Is this the sort of insaniyat that one needs right now? And do you believe it's coming a little too late? Urging the mother to please request their sons who've joined terrorism to surrender, get back to mainstream. Are they reaching out to the people who can really solve the problem?
Supriya, as Sushobha Barve and Mr. Ansari are pointing out, the army simply cannot sort out this mess. The fact is, the army can go in there and have a military solution and, try and say that we've killed everybody who's picked up a gun. This is not going to be solved by the army. And I think Mr. Vineet Goenka is making a mistake by saying, we will have retribution, we will show them, a real retribution. What is happening in Afghanistan? After a 17-year war, the US has spent over $700 billion, lost over 2,000 security personnel. After 17 years of war, the US is back on the talking table, back to the dialogue table, and trying to have peace talks with the Taliban. The fact is, counterinsurgency is not going to bring you peace. Counterinsurgency only creates conditions for dialogue. You have to have that dialogue, Supriya. Without that dialogue, the army simply cannot sort it out. I think as far as the Kashmir is concerned, we have to understand that terrorism has mutated. There is large-scale alienation. And as Sushobha is pointing out, she and I are part of the peacemongers, so we do not endorse a military solution, but we are urging a political solution. And that means that please create a situation where there is a genuine political reach out, where there is in fact a genuine alternative narrative that is offered in Kashmir. Because what is happening at the moment also, Supriya, is a media blackout. Scores of young men actually are being killed. People are being driven out of homes, but we don't see it in the media.
Absolutely, absolutely. There is no denying that. And I think the other important role that the media is not playing is we should be peacekeepers. We should be conscience keepers. We should not be fanning sentiments otherwise. And I think the media needs to play a very important role there. It's a call to all the other members of my tribe. But we'll take a really, really quick breather. And we come back and discuss the issue that should have been discussed right at the beginning if it wasn't for the blasphemous statement that came in from Imran Khan. And which is the hatred against Kashmiris. Our enemy is Pakistan, not Kashmir, not the Kashmiris. Do we want a Kashmir without Kashmiris? And the answer to that should be a resounding no to anybody who's listening. Give me a minute, we'll be back in just a moment. to be back with you once again on the India development debate right here on ET Now. And I'm really going to take the discussion forward to where it really belongs. And Sushma Barre, I'm going to begin with you because you've been you've been a part of the Track 2 dialogues and you've been working on the Track 2 dialogues and also with Kashmiris for a very, very long time. Would you say the Pulwama attack has broken whatever we had gained up until now?
I think we have broken much before that. We broke everything in 2016. It has been a real setback to years of rebuilding that was done. And we have, it's going to take a very, very long time, if at all, to restore and recover the lost ground. In August last year, I went along with a Kashmiri friend into some of the interior villages of Shopian, and where encounters had taken place. We visited the victim families, and we had a chance to also have conversations with the young men there in the homes. Yes, they were very angry. I had not heard such bitter and angry words in my whole lifetime, although I have worked in Kashmir for so long. But we have to listen to all that. And after having listened to their anger and bitter words, when it seemed there was space for me to respond to them, and I said that I regret all the violence that has taken place since 2016 and the suffering that has been caused and the pain people have had, and I shared their pain also along with them, and that I wanted to see the violence ends and ask for their ideas on how this could be done. And then conversation led from one thing to the other, and I told them about the Naga peace process, which began 25 years ago and is still continuing, and a framework agreement has been signed. And they listened attentively. But how many of us are willing to go and listen, or are we just condemned that they are all militants, they are not to be talked to, they are not to be listened to?
That's a very,
and what is happening now? Really, it fills me with great horror. And I can tell you one thing, I must also tell you one thing.
Sushma Barre, give me a minute.
My friend.
It doesn't just, no, I've got very little time on the show. I would have indulged you, but I've got very little time on the show. You're right. It doesn't just fill you with horror, it fills the rest of us with horror as well. Mr. Ansari, a quick question to you before I move back to the politicians, and then a quick last word with Sagarika. We thump our chest that Kashmir is an integral part of India and all of that. And all across social media and everywhere else, Kashmiris are being attacked. It almost seems that India wants a Kashmir without the Kashmiris. We've not heard, a big voice denounce this. This mindless persecution that one is hearing about Kashmiris. How does one tackle that? I'll come to you in just a minute, Mr. Goenka. Mr. Ansari, how does one tackle the mindless aggression and hatred towards Kashmiris right now?
Yeah, this is very unfortunate that we do say that the Kashmir is integral part of India, but unfortunately we do not consider that the Kashmiris, they are our own people, because what we have seen is that they have lots of suffering, as Sushobha also mentioned about, on the account of human rights violation. The education and employment conditions are very bad, and the manner in which there are draconian laws like PSA and AFSA have been imposed. Can you tell us any society, any democratic society where for so long some such laws have been imposed? And at the same time, we see that the entire Jammu and Kashmir is ours, and we have left 1/3 of Jammu and Kashmir to Pakistan. Why have we not claimed as per the 94 resolution of the parliament? At the same time, in Shimla agreement, we have agreed to resolve all the contentious issues through the dialogue process, but we have been talking of that the terror and talk cannot go together, and therefore we have not been talking. As a result of which, what we see is that almost Kashmiris are totally alienated, both within the Kashmir as well as in the rest of the country. And we have been hearing voices from the Meghalaya governor, whatever he has said. We have seen how the students have been treated elsewhere in the whole country. That puts the whole Kashmiris in a very pathetic situation, and therefore we see there is a total alienation, and therefore we need to reach out to the Kashmiris. You asked that what is the solution.
Okay.
So my view is that the road to Kashmir peace is through the Shimla agreement, and we have to have the robust diplomacy engaging Pakistan and other superpowers like US,
Mr. Ansari,
which is now seeking the help.
Mr. Ansari, give me a minute. I've got the last 4 minutes on the show. I'm sorry I can't indulge you any further. But Vineet Goenka, I'm sorry, sir, I'm cutting you short there. But Vineet Goenka, I'll come to you, and please keep your answer brief. But this is a very pertinent question. Forget about clamping down on bigots. What about Governor Pathankot Ray? Will he be punished for a shameful tweet where he's asked to boycott everything that's Kashmiri, not go to Kashmir? He's not just violating the constitution on which he's been sworn, but he's a shame on the office that he holds. And there are instances of attacks on Kashmiris. We've had just a studious silence from the powers that matter. Why is the Prime Minister silent? And what will happen to the Meghalaya governor?
Supriya ji, I have never requested you to give me an uninterrupted time because you have been very judicious always. But today, this is a strategic answer which I want to answer you. And if I don't answer that, I'll be doing injustice with myself and this country. So please request, don't interrupt. I'll take 45 seconds.
Go ahead,
because
sir.
All my previous speakers have spoken something which has really pained me, to a lot. I hold all of them very, very high in respect. But their words. One, somebody has time to visit the encountered family and then also use the word victim. Encountered families are not victim, madam. Encounter is done of a terrorist, and terrorist family is not a victim. Let me correct you. The moment you do this kind of confusion, then there is a confusion in the mind of intelligentsia. So my request to you is to correct. Encounter is only done if he is a criminal or he is a terrorist. So he is never a victim. And I request you to visit even slain CRPF families and how do they feel. Please come out with that statement also. So I condemn your statement called as victim. Number two,
killing here.
Your experience is more than me. You have stayed in London. Please, madam, today I'm requesting you for the first time in my life that allow me to speak.
I must be given a time to
let me speak one by one. I'm requesting you.
I must be given a time to
have an explanation. Otherwise, it will be misconstrued
quickly go ahead and make your points. I don't have time on this
show. 1 minute. Sagarika ji compared it with Afghanistan. Sagarika ji compared this with Afghanistan. This is not Afghanistan. Afghanistan is a power play between two superpowers, USSR and USA. This is J&K, which is a small, been border, across the border terrorism which has been done. Compared to Ireland, Chechnya, we have never seen success of terrorism in Ireland, neither in Chechnya, and they were dealt with iron hands. Let me remind you, don't compare apple with oranges. Apple have to be compared with apple. You compare this with Ireland. He did terrorism succeed in Ireland, did terrorism succeed in Chechnya.
I'm sorry, you cannot give me
it has been funded by the people.
Three,
no, let me answer this, madam.
Let me tell you. No, Vineet Goenka, please listen to me. No, you will have to listen to me. I am asking for some accountability from our political class. You please answer my direct question because I have an exactly the same question for Mohammad Khan as well. Why is the political class quiet? Why does the governor of Meghalaya think he can put out the tweet and continue in office? Answer that question for me. Don't take me around Chechnya and don't take me around Israel and Ireland. Answer a direct question.
Give them uninterrupted time to blame these countries' army men. So let me answer them one by one.
No, I'm sorry. Answer the question that I'm asking you. Politicians have to be accountable. No, I'm sorry. I've asked you a question. Answer that first.
This turn into a nationalist. I will do that, madam. But let me answer pertinent questions. Why this intelligentsia wants to create divide of mind? Why can't they visit CRPF slain people? They only visit victims. They are not victims. They are terrorists. And Afghanistan cannot be compared with Kashmir.
Vineet Goenka ji, I will not let you. This is. I will actually move on. If you are not going to answer my question, I will leave that unanswered and I will move on.
difference.
Not good. In an
As a
individual
peace
capacity, I would not like to do
activist,
that.
I make no difference
Yes,
between
nobody
victims,
should condemn Kashmiri.
whether
And
it
let me
is
tell you, Kashmiri
whether it
students are
is
very
from
much
the
safe in
security
JNK,
forces
in
or
Uttarakhand, in
civilian.
Maharashtra. I come from Maharashtra, and thousands of
One
Kashmiri
second, Ms.
students study
Barve,
there.
please just dim her audio. I can't hear.
We should not highlight 4 or 5 people who are not doing right. Let us highlight, last night Nazir Ahmad Wani, he got Ashok Chakra. Can we highlight that? How did we turn a terrorist into a soldier? Please highlight that. Please highlight how we brought the agriculture in Kashmir.
What are you talking about, Vineet Goenka? No, I am not impressed with your answer. No, Vineet Goenka, I am sorry, sir. This is not the answer that a political class needs to give, because both of you are in the wrong. Both the BJP and the Congress today is silent because there's politics being played in Kashmir and we are paying a price for this. What are you talking about? There are girls who were attacked in Dehradun. A dean had to be sacked. There is anti-Kashmir narrative that is being built. And we don't hear voices of protest from the ruling establishment or the Congress party. Mohammad Khan, you've been very statesman-like. More than 250 Kashmiri students from Dehradun, Chandigarh, Delhi have been subjected to such name-calling and hatred that they've had to go back. The government is silent, but what about the Congress party? Why are you silent? Are you worried about not being seen as minority appeasers?
We are not. No, Supriya, not at all. You forget who our leader is. He doesn't care about, what the BJP may perceive it as. But the truth is, no, of course, and let me as my party's national media coordinator officially condemn Pathankot Roy's statement. We all have. It is a very strange statement. And what is surprising is, and I don't want to do politics on this debate, but our Prime Minister has time to threaten those who criticize his bullet train, but he doesn't have the time to give a remark on Pathankot Roy's strange and divisive statement. And this is not the first time he said this. He said he's made similar statements in the past. We stand with our citizens. Surely it can't be Mr. Goenka's case that every Kashmiri is a terrorist. Of course not. Therefore,
sorry, I don't have time to waste with your lecture to Gyan on India as well. No. Mohammad Khan, no. Yeah. No. Mohammad Khan, please go to the tweets of your senior leaders. They are absolutely silent on Kashmir. There is not a word that is being spoken about Kashmiris who are at the receiving end of this hatred. And that is shameful for both the BJP and the Congress. You are both in the same dock on this. But Sagarika, I'll let you have the last word, because I think at the end of the day, this is all about politics. How much of an election issue is this going to be? And who stands to leverage and get mileage out of it?
You know, Supriya, there's a saying, पहले जब हमले होते थे तो इस्तीफा मांगे जाते थे, अब जब हमले होते हैं तो वोट मांगे जाते हैं. I think this mood of muscular nationalism and hyper-nationalism, the Meghalaya governor Pathankot Roy has to be sacked. He's in violation of the constitution. He's in violation of IPC 153. He has to go. But this mood of hyper-nationalism is going to benefit the BJP. It is the party of muscular nationalism, it's the party of hyper-nationalism. But, Supriya, remember, decisive military victories are what win elections, not simply warmongering and hyper-nationalistic rhetoric. Kargil war, it was a decisive military victory, and the BJP came to power and the NDA won 270 seats in 1999. The fact is, Mr. Modi has got 20 days, because remember, 7th of March, Model Code of Conduct kicks in unless he declares war and cancels elections. I don't think that's going to happen. Model Code of Conduct is going to happen in March. He's got 20 days to do something. The anger is with him right now. He's expressing the mood of hyper-nationalism and muscular nationalism. BJP ministers are riding on funeral processions and taking photographs and smiling and waving, and we've seen politics. But will Mr. Modi act? Time is not on his side. The anger is on his side.
Okay. I think the sum and substance of this debate is that there will be politics that will be played, and the sad part is that at the receiving end are few Kashmiris who want to make a better life, who've come to other parts of India, and they are being subjected to this hatred by people in office, by people in positions of authority, and that must be denounced unequivocally. United we stand for the Kashmiris, and that is what needs to come out. For now, the Congress, very, very conspicuous with its studious silence. I wonder why. And the BJP, that likes to speak on everything else, is not denouncing the action. There is no voice of protest, no voice that has said, maintain calm, do not do this to the Kashmiris all around the country, because they deserve a chance as well. We are not seeing that. And remember, hearts will be won, and only then will there be a political solution to Kashmir. But on that note, completely out of time on this edition of the India Development Debate, we've got to take a quick breather. We will come back with Top 10 at 10. Thank you very much to this wonderful panel. to be with us, to share their views as we put the spotlight once again on Kashmir.